Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Victoria ISD builds momentum for a big decision tonight, the Foundation for Change ahead. Plus, a former astronaut helped South Texas get moving in the right direction. The transportation talk everyone's buzzing about. And Calhoun County goes green with a brand new addition.
We're looking for some rather soupy skies. If you've seen them all day long, the winds out of the north made it a little chilly, but the drizzles are likely to return tonight. We'll be talking about that and taking a look at your weekend in just a moment.
Plus, a CDC committee delays a crucial vaccine decision for the second time, the debate that's dividing experts. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A person is hospitalized from a house fire in Victoria. The Victoria Fire Department responded to the home on Lilac Lane this afternoon. One person was inside along with several dogs and cats that were rescued. The fire left visible damage to the home. The cause of that fire is under investigation and the condition of the person taken to the hospital is unknown at this time. The Victoria ISD Board is holding a bond workshop tonight, and it could shape the future of local schools. District leaders say a bond could help make long overdue repairs, upgrade aging campuses, even save money in the long run. They have already brought in an architect to estimate what needs fixing. And tonight, they will also talk about whether consolidating some schools might better serve students. If the plan moves forward, the bond could be on the ballot in May 2026. That meeting starts at 5:30 p.m. at the Victoria ISD Administration Building tonight, and the public is welcome to attend. Well, we had that drizzle and then the cold air came in, and when that wind picked up, I couldn't tell at first if I was hearing wind or rain.
Yeah.
It sounded like it was raining really hard.
It did pick up right at about 8 o'clock this morning. The winds shifted to the north. It kicked up to about almost 25 miles an hour. So it was a little breezy, and it cuts. It cuts through the thin clothing, Make sure you wear your winter clothing. The thing is, with the overcast, is going to give us a little bit more rain tonight and tomorrow, so it's not over wet. And we'll take a look at that and your weekend coming up in a moment.
All right, the weekend, there's a lot going on. So.
Yes, busy.
All right, well, thank you, Mac. Well, the South Texas Transportation Conference presented its 12th annual conference, talking about the importance of transportation in our region. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with a former NASA astronaut to learn more about his contribution. Ray?
Yes, Shawna, former NASA astronaut Sidney Gutierrez says when it comes to getting around, transportation needs to be affordable, reliable, and safe. The South Texas Transportation Conference isn't just about cars. It covers buses, boats, planes, and everything in between. Gutierrez says no matter how you get from point A to point B, whether you're in a rush or hauling something heavy, transportation plays a big role in our everyday lives.
Transportation should make your day-to-day life much easier and simpler. When you move, when you go anywhere, when you move something, you want yourself not to be hurt, and you want whatever you're moving to not be damaged.
Gutierrez says transportation is also important for economic development and infrastructure opportunities. 3 high school students also received scholarships at today's South Texas Transportation Conference. They will use the $2,000 to further their education in transportation or engineering. Shawna?
Calhoun County cut the ribbon on its new recycling center this morning, a big step toward keeping the community cleaner and greener. County leaders say the goal is to make recycling easier for everyone and get more residents involved in taking care of the local environment. Formosa Plastics donated $670,000 to build the center, which they say will help cut down on waste and push more materials into the recycling stream. Officials say it's an investment in the future, helping reduce what goes into the landfills so the next generation inherits a cleaner Calhoun County.
We have all the infrastructure and we have the other parts in place. And so we're going to be actively expanding.
For a county the size of Calhoun County and these 2 cities, curbside recycling and having a recycling center is not an everyday event.
The new Calhoun County Recycling Center is at 900 Old Landfill Road in Port Lavaca. It is open Fridays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. HEB is alerting customers to a scam making the rounds on Facebook Messenger. The message promises a big gift card or shopping spree, but HEB says it's not real and no giveaway is running on Facebook. The company says to only trust information from HEB.com, the My HEB app, or its official social media pages. HEB also says it will never ask for your login or sensitive information or require you to share anything through Messenger. If you see a suspicious link, they say report it through Facebook. If you have a news tip, reach out to us by calling the newsroom at 361-576-0026 or send an email to staff@crossroadstoday.com. The American Cancer Society releases new cervical cancer screening guidelines today. The organization estimates more than 13,000 new cases of invasive cervical cancer will be diagnosed this year, with more than 4,000 deaths expected. The new guidelines now include FDA-approved self-collection tests as an acceptable option for women at average risk who do not want a pelvic exam. The self-collection tests detect cancer-causing types of human papillomavirus in the cervix and are recommended every 3 years for women with negative results.
Particularly if it's difficult in making an appointment. Some women may have privacy concerns initially. So we do think having the ability to have FDA-approved tests every 3 years for self-collection is a wonderful other option.
Those tests must be done in a healthcare setting, such as a primary care office, urgent care, pharmacy, or mobile clinic. For women older than 65 who have had adequate prior screening and are not at high risk, screening is no longer recommended. Now to a closely watched meeting involving the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention vaccine panel, deciding whether or not to keep a 30-year recommendation to vaccinate newborns for hepatitis B. The medical community saying a lot is on the line. But as ABC's Jacqueline Lee reports, the decision has been delayed again.
A CDC advisory committee deciding to delay for a second time a vote on the hepatitis B vaccine. The panel meeting today to discuss whether it will change the recommendation that newborns receive the hepatitis B vaccine at birth, a recommendation that has been in place for 3 decades. The hepatitis B virus has no cure and can cause a serious liver infection for those infected. In children, it can be deadly.
And I don't think people realize how contagious this virus is. This virus is 50 to 100 times more contagious than AIDS. And I think people don't quite realize how at risk children are if they get infected early in life.
The panel planned to vote on this back in September. Today's delay comes after debate among committee members on voting language amid last-minute changes. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a known vaccine skeptic, has questioned its effectiveness.
I say I'm not anti-vaccine. Saying I'm anti-vaccine is like saying I'm anti-medicine. Well, I'm pro-medicine, but I understand some medicines harm people. Some of them have risks. Some of them have benefits that outweigh those risks for certain populations, and the same is true with vaccines.
One of the CDC committee members has argued that unless the mother has hepatitis B, newborns don't need to be vaccinated right away. But many doctors have pushed back on this, pointing to data showing the hepatitis B vaccine is 90% effective when given to children within 24 hours of their birth. It prevents infections unknowingly passed from parent to child. Before this vaccine became common practice, nearly 20,000 children were infected with hepatitis B every year. After the vaccine, the number of infections dropped by 95%. Most insurers are required to cover vaccines that the CDC committee endorses, making the decision on the Hep B vaccine that much more important for affordability and access. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Hydro Jug is recalling 17,000 children's sport tumblers because loose rivets on the handle can detach and pose a choking hazard. The 14-ounce tumblers were sold from May to June of this year at Academy Sports, Amazon, and other retailers. They may have serial number 235010 or no serial number at all under the rubber boot on the bottom. You should stop using the tumbler right away and contact Hydro Jug for a free replacement lid. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, Austin police break their silence on the death of a Texas A&M student last Friday. Plus, a manhunt is underway in Louisiana after 3 violent offenders break out of jail. police shared new details today in the death of a 19-year-old Texas A&M student, a case that has drawn national attention since Thanksgiving weekend. Police say Brianna Aguilera was found just after 1 a.m. on November 29th outside the 21 Rio apartments in West Campus. They say her injuries were consistent with a fall and she was pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators say surveillance video and witness statements helped build a timeline, and at this point, they do not believe foul play was involved.
Our investigation has revealed that unfortunately Brianna had made suicidal comments previously to friends back in October of this year. This continued through the evening of her death with some self-harming actions earlier in the evening and a text message to another friend indicating the thought of suicide.
Austin police say it is speaking out now to correct misinformation that's been circulating online. The investigation is still active, and the department says it is working closely with Aguilera's family. A nearly 5-year manhunt comes to an end. A Virginia man accused of placing 2 pipe bombs outside the Republican and Democratic National Committees the night before the January 6th insurrection, now under arrest. As ABC's Rena Roy reports, the 30-year-old suspect is now facing federal charges.
Doorbell video shows authorities today closing in on a suspect after a nearly 5-year manhunt, arresting the man they say is responsible for placing 2 pipe bombs outside the Democratic and Republican National Committees the night before the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol.
An individual who is now alleged to have placed multiple explosive devices to blow up multiple people and multiple officials, innocent civilians, is now arrested thanks to the brave men and women of the FBI and the interagency.
Law enforcement identifying the suspect as 30-year-old Brian Cole Jr. of Woodbridge, Virginia. You can see police closing off streets in the neighborhood this morning.
He has been charged with violating 18 U.S.C. 844, which is use of an explosive device. This investigation is ongoing. As we speak, search warrants are being executed.
The suspect has not yet entered a plea. Video released by the FBI during their search shows the suspect placing 1 bomb outside the DNC headquarters just blocks from the U.S. Capitol. FBI analysts determined the pipe bombs were viable, and if they had detonated, could have caused serious bodily injury or death. Concerning for investigators who say they later discovered the then VP-elect Kamala Harris came within just feet of one of the bombs while traveling through D.C. Now, the suspect's grandmother tells ABC News that their family is shocked, saying that Cole is not politically active and doesn't normally travel to Washington, D.C. She described him as a kid at heart who wouldn't hurt a fly. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Authorities in South Central Louisiana are searching for 3 violent offenders who escaped from the St. Landry Parish Jail. Deputies say 24-year-old Keith Ellie, 24-year-old Jonathan Joseph, and 26-year-old Joseph Harrington broke through a crumbling concrete wall on the jail's 3rd floor, then used bed sheets to climb down. 2 were found missing during a head count, and the 3rd was found gone later. The men were being held on charges ranging from attempted murder to rape and home invasion. Officials say the escapees are considered dangerous. To get more news, weather, and sports headlines, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com. Well, every generation has lingo that is unique and defining to the times, so determining whether something is rad, lit, or low-key fire, well, that often depends upon the year that you were born. Young Zoomers and Generation Alpha are the latest to throw clueless parents for a loop, mining much of their vocabulary from social media, viral videos, and live streaming. Lee Waldman helps us decode what kids are saying in the chat.
Meme speak is taking over the chat.
Bro, I'm gonna crash out.
Dominating the lexicon.
6, 7.
And confusing grown-ups everywhere.
Chat, is this rich?
With one clear exception.
Mr. Lindsay back to define another word that your kids are using.
Middle school teacher Philip Lindsay's TikTok translations have gone viral, much like the word trends he helps to explain.
If something goes viral and it's a meme, you can expect to be hearing the kids saying it at some point, and then sometimes they even add meaning to it.
The trends can come from anything. 6'7", for example, is a lyric from a Skrilla song that morphed online after someone made an edit, then another person added a hand motion. Others are renewals of past fads like the word tough, spelled Tuff to mean cool.
If a kid walks in and says that my outfit is low-key tough, boom, I've nailed it, right?
It may sound like nonsense, but for kids, linguist Teresa Pratt says it's about finding their voice.
Young people innovate a lot with language, in part because that's a kind of socialized chapter of life where you're supposed to do creative things with your style.
Mr. Lindsay says try to speak the language, even if it's cringe.
Parents and teachers need some kind of bridge of conversation with their kids to joke about some of the words or some of the memes that then opens up to more meaningful conversation.
In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
Very interesting stuff. We never did any of that, right? We were just groovy.
Yeah, we had our words of the time too.
And it was far out, man. We'll be talking more about that coming up. It's 50 degrees out there. The temperature actually was 60 at midnight and then just came down as that north wind kicked in this morning. You probably felt that it was a little sharp on the senses as he headed out the door. Our high was 59, which occurred right at 1 o'clock in the morning, and 49 was a low at 2 in the afternoon. So it's been a very short thermometer for this time of year. We haven't had any appreciable rain, but the rain is not over with just yet. I'll show you where it's coming from and why I think Friday will still be on the damp side. And we'll take a look at the weekend because a lot of Christmas trees are being set up, and we'll be talking about that coming up after this. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Pretty soupy out there, very cloudy all day long. We really didn't get, and I'll be honest with you, because that's what I do here. I mean, we didn't get the thunder showers that I expected for today. What happened is the front came in, didn't really cause any kind of instability, so the north wind replaced everything and made it chilly, but the clouds are still there. And what we're really looking at is this, okay? This is what we call a tropical tap. In other words, the upper winds are bringing in moisture from the warmer waters of the Pacific on the west coast, and that's streaming overhead. Well, you take that mild air over this cool air on top, and we get a little bit of an overrunning or a drizzly kind of pattern. That is now just about to develop right along the Texas border. You can see how the rain is there, so that is going to roll back up into our region. So dampness, with isolated light rain to maybe a shower or two coming through the region overnight and again on Friday. But then things do clear up as finally all of this system pulls away and brings us some dry air to the north. Now we're looking at the first warn Doppler. As you can see right about there, they did get rain in San Antonio, not huge thunderstorms, but it is wet. For us, we just sort of missed it all day long. It was all out in the Gulf where the frontal system went down and ran into that tropical air down there. So Although we're overcast, I really don't see any kind of rain occurring. You saw the very light stuff that actually occurred, most of it overnight and in the overnight time period. Now, I'm showing you future temperatures. This is for tonight, and then we're going into tomorrow morning. All right, so that would be your Friday, about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I just wanted you to see what everybody's temperatures are dealing with. New England with rather single-digit, rather teens. Chicago in the teens. We are going to be fairly mild, but chilly for our purposes, but mild compared to everybody else. And then here's a really interesting part. You see right about there, I brought it up yesterday. There's a cold pocket of below zero weather up there in the Midwest. It's real close to basically invading the country. So we're going to be watching it very carefully. But in terms of alerts, we have no alerts to worry about, no fog, no precipitation, except for this that you see right here. That is actually the small craft advisory because of the offshore winds that are blowing. So we'll take a look at your day planner for tomorrow in the Port Lavaca area. Things are looking still on the cloudy side, as you can see right there, still with that northeast wind right about there. And because of the overcast, we may have a little patchy light rain to drizzle. You know, I wouldn't call it a rain out, but you know, you might get wet, and for sure you need to bundle up because the high temperatures are going to be in the mid 50s, and of course with the wind coming at 10-15 miles an hour, you can really feel that if you're outdoors for any length of time. And believe it or not, people are still working outdoors. So on the overcast side for Cuero as well, still that north wind, and then temperatures staying chilly. The good news is the following. By Saturday, a lot of this pulls away, and Saturday night's very important around here. We're going to be doing the parade and the Christmas tree downtown. I know other communities are having celebrations as well. Sunday night, a north wind blows in, and it makes it fair and chilly for the early part of next week, but that should be a dry front as we get through. So a little dampness for your Friday, and then clearing up just in time for the weekend. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that and put it Crossroads Today on your phone. So that was pretty groovy, wouldn't you say?
It's pretty groovy. Well, still to come, the latest jobless numbers look encouraging, but economists say don't celebrate just yet. A little up and down in the market today. The Dow closed down 32 points, the S&P 500 rose 7 points, and the Nasdaq climbed 51 points. The price of oil is up 80 cents to $59.75 per barrel. Companies cut back on job cuts last month. U.S. employers announced just over 71,000 layoffs in November, according to outplacement firm Challenger, Gray & Christmas. That's roughly half the amount from October, when a surge in pink slips came from several of the nation's bigger companies. As for November, the fields that saw the most job losses include telecommunications, technology, and food. Analysts say nearly 1.2 million jobs were cut. So far this year, that's the highest amount recorded in a January through November stretch since 2020. And new numbers from the Labor Department show jobless claims dropped during the shortened Thanksgiving week. About 191,000 people filed for first-time unemployment benefits. That is down 27,000 from the week before, though claims often dip around the holidays. Continuing claims also slipped slightly, but that number is still near a 4-year high. Economists say that suggests that people who lose their jobs are having a harder time finding new ones, as hiring has slowed amid economic uncertainty and weaker consumer confidence. Now to President Trump's efforts to roll back fuel efficiency standards that were in place during the Biden administration. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio shares details on the proposal that would weaken vehicle mileage rules limiting air pollution for cars and trucks.
Good morning. The Trump administration says the new rules will make cars more affordable, but critics claim this is a major setback in the fight against climate change. This morning, changes coming to the fuel efficiency standards set in place during the Biden administration that reduced emissions and incentivized automakers to make more electric cars.
We're officially terminating Joe Biden's ridiculously burdensome, horrible actually, CAFE standards that imposed expensive restrictions and all sorts of problems, gave all sorts of problems to automakers.
Auto executives in the Oval Office for the announcement applauding the rollback. Trump says the new rules will protect auto industry jobs and address affordability concerns across the country. Trump also saying he would revoke emissions waivers for California, which is able to set their own fuel standards under a provision in the Clean Air Act. Governor Gavin Newsom responding on social media saying in part, quote, "Let's call it what it is. Donald is handing the big oil donors exactly what they want, weaker protections for consumers and bigger profits for polluters." The Trump administration claims the rollback on fuel standards is about reducing vehicle costs. However, a recent Consumer Reports analysis looked at fuel standards over a 20-year period and found no significant price increases, even as fuel standards improved. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
Babbel releases its list of 2025's most mispronounced words, and one Hollywood star makes a surprising admission.
Tonight, tracking extreme cold, plus under fire, the boat strike killing survivors, the admiral testifying, and the new report. Plus, the major break in the pipe bomb investigation at DNC and RNC headquarters. World News Tonight with David Muir is the most watched newscast in America.
If you've stumbled over names in the news this year, you're not alone. And I'm apologizing ahead of time because I may mispronounce some of these. But Babbel says the most mispronounced words of 2025 include New York City's incoming mayor, Zoran Memdani. Okay. Along with that, the Paris Louvre. Other tricky ones, acetaminophen, Alex Murdaugh, and Mounjaro, the weight loss medication. Even Denzel Washington surprised fans, revealing that his name is actually pronounced Denzel.
Denzel.
Denzel, not Denzel.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Turns out pronouncing the news correctly is not always that easy.
And it's hard work for us too here, trying to get all those names in.
We know how to say cold though.
K-O-L, no. It's going to be cold and damp for tomorrow.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here at 6.